Hey guys, we talk about starting businesses and side hustles and this and that. And, we talk about how to make, get money to start these things. Well, what we don't really talk about too much is what if your friend starts a business or your wife or your cousin or your brother? And if they do, how should you help them? Like, should you invest in their business? I mean, you got to think Ben and Jerry's was started by childhood best friends. Four grad school buddies founded Warby Parker. A longtime friendship turned partnership brought Clear to TSA security lines across the US. A shopping trip between two pals launched size inclusive clothing brand Universal Standard. Sure, there are stories of successful business partnerships between friends everywhere. But for every Ben and Jerry, there are countless Janes and Joes who are irritated and ticked off at their college roommate for stiffing them on a business loan. Mixing business and friendship can ruin a relationship. So, if a classmate, a colleague, a childhood friend, a relative asks you to invest in their business, we need to make sure that you're looking at it from all the angles. And I want to go over some of those that you ask yourself. And the first one I want you to, ask yourself, or I want you to look at it, is as a personal investor. You need to look at it and think like a personal investor. Don't let your personal relationship cloud your business judgment. Evaluate what that person is requesting of you as if it was coming from a stranger. Does the business offer something unique? Does it fill a need in the market? Does the founder have business savvy? Do they have experience in the industry? A professional investor always wants to see where the aha is. Is this likely to become a major company? If the potential is huge, yeah, of course it makes sense from a financial perspective. But you also need to know the terms of your investment and what you're getting in return. If your friend is asking for a business loan, you need to discuss the repayment timeline and the interest. If your investment is in exchange for equity, review the terms. Is it solely a financial transaction? Or are you going to have access to and input on business operations? And let's be honest, guys, a handshake deal is just not going to cut it, right? Even with or especially with, lifelong friends. Make sure everything is in writing, right? Especially if you opt to invest, right? However, it's going to be this way, there's no confusion down the line. And then make sure you're always going to study that business plan, right? Examine it, right? Examine the business plan to see if your friend or loved one has thought through all the aspects of the venture. A thorough business plan should include financial projections, current revenue, 5-year projections, and a detailed market analysis that outlines competitors and the potential for problems and obstacles. You have to do your due diligence, even if you've known this person your whole life. You know, there's a guy named Demetrios Mano, right? He's an entrepreneur and he co founded Bloom Express. It's an online CBD marketplace. Now, he did this in 2019 with a close college friend, and while they were still both in school. Now, outside of his co founder, Manny did not approach any friends or family for any type of startup business money. Instead, they relied on their personal savings and income from their day jobs. Mano went on to say that he's seen friends of 20 plus years just ruin their friendship over irrelevant business arguments and, family members who have completely cut ties with one another because of a slight disagreement. And for him, the investment is not worth the potential personal cost. Which leads us to the next thing that we need to discuss communication. You got to communicate, but you need to set boundaries because the lines between business and personal affairs can quickly blur when you invest in a loved one's business. While clear, frequent communication is going to be essential, it's important to draw boundaries. Now, When Mark Asselstein co-founded Uncorked Ventures, which is a now defunct online wine club, he did this with his brother-in-law. They set out strict rules at the start. He said they decided at the beginning that they weren't going to say anything to each other, that they wouldn't say to their nieces or nephews, right? And they relegated business talk to morning meetings rather than casual outings. And they had a rule to not talk about business at family events and dinners. Having those dividing lines but open communication was key. And probably for me, one of the bigger things to talk about, I'd probably say the second biggest on the list. Always save the best for last. But the second biggest is going to be, don't invest money you can't afford to lose. Right? Don't think you're going to make a fortune if you're going to help a friend out. In fact, don't expect to make money at all. Roughly 20% of businesses close within the first year. The first year, right? And most startups never even make a positive return. So you need to ask yourself, are you okay if you lose all the money you invested in your friend's startup, in your brother's startup, right? Whoever it is. Now, if the honest answer is yes, with no ill will toward your friend or relative, then the relationship is likely to remain solid regardless of the business outcome. But if your answer is conditional, then the outcome of the friendship is likely to be conditional on the business investment. Now, I said that I saved probably the most important thing for last. And that's going to be offering support in the form of expertise over money. Because money isn't the only way to help someone's business. You can give them your time. You can give them your expert opinion on something, right? You can even help them make connections to further their business, help them meet the right people, right? You could pitch in, maybe they have, pop-up restaurant or something like that, or an event that they happen to be having somewhere. You can go help at the event, especially in this day and age. You can manage their social media accounts for them. If they start out small, you could just help them do it. And maybe managing their social media accounts, if they get really big, maybe that turns into something for you as well, right? But again, don't expect it to really go anywhere, so you'll never be disappointed. And then hand out flyers to get the word out. I mean, there's so many things you can do. Be a sounding board for ideas and issues. If they come to you about a problem, just help talk them through it, right? Or even just show up from time to time, take them out to dinner, bring them some food. There's so many different ways that you can help them other than just handing them some money. So if someone comes to you, a relative or a friend, and they ask you to invest in their business, I want you to ask yourself some of these questions before you say yes. Take a step back, ask yourself these questions. And hopefully, you come to a sound, conclusion. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, hit that like button. If you're not subscribed to the channel, I'd really appreciate it if you did. But until I see you guys in the next video, y'all be safe.